Hey guys, it's Brindley Tecker, and I am so excited to bring you Breakthrough with Brindley tonight. As always, didn't know what I was going to talk about, and had a devotional reading this weekend and really just started thinking about some things. And I thought that this might come to my heart a little bit later in the series, yet I was like, you know what? If I can teach someone to do this now rather than wait as long as I did, then it could really change their world. And what we're going to talk about tonight are your values and your aims. And we hear a lot about values. Do you know what your core values are? We don't hear as much around your aims. And then we're also going to talk about your personal avatar. So my coach, Mandy Moynihan, which y'all met on one of our episodes, is a transformational coach. And back in December, I went through some pretty big changes at the end of last year, and I wanted to do some really deep work emotionally. I wasn't exactly proud of the way that I had shown up over the last 12 to 18 months, and it wasn't really the human I wanted to be. And I saw some old behaviors come up and kind of rear their ugly heads. And so God kept laying Mandy's name on my heart, and I picked up the phone and I said, "Hey, what are you doing nowadays?" And she said, "I'm doing breakthrough work," which if you're familiar with transformational coaching or neuro-linguistic programming, breakthrough is where you do a series of different models of therapy in order to go back and really go deep into the reason that you are the way that you are. A lot of our programming, as we've talked about before, was not our choice. It was the way that we were programmed by others. And so during this session, the main thing that we focused on was around my avatar, my aims, and my values. And so I'm going to walk you through what each of these are and then share with you what mine are. And this is really vulnerable because I'm kind of putting out there that here's who I am. And when you don't see me showing up like this, I want you to call me on it. So first, that is the avatar. So a lot of times we hear the movie, obviously the Avatar, that's what I thought of when I first heard it. But really what your avatar is it's you at your highest and best self. So when you think about yourself at your highest and best self, what does that person look like? And simply, you're just going to write a bunch of things that you want to be. So I'll give you a few of mine. I'll spare you the long-winded version, but my avatar is full of grace, calm, the observer, brings the best out of people, sees the best in people, inspiring others, kind, gentle, loves herself at the highest level. So it's going through, if I envisioned the highest and best of what I want to be, what would that individual look like? And then identifying that. So it's kind of like a missing persons report and a job description for yourself, right? So that was what number one, that was the first thing we did. The second thing we did is we came up with values and aims for 5 key areas of my life. So the areas that we came up with were relationships, and relationships doesn't just have to be intimate relationships. It could be any type of relationship. We have all sorts. We have business relationships, personal relationships, romantic relationships. So relationships, career, health, spiritual, and grow. So those 5 areas, I came up with 5 values for each of those areas and an aim. Now, here's what's interesting is that when I went to do research today on this topic and I looked up aims, there was a common theme. Aims aren't something that we typically hear in corporate America, but they are something that you typically hear with schools and universities. And I thought that that was fascinating because why would they have an aim? Well, they have an aim because they want to set, it's just like a goal. It's what are we trying to achieve here through our education? What are we trying to achieve here through our higher learning? And I thought that was huge because I'm like, it was a big eye opener for me. Like, oh, that's exactly what an aim is. It's our personal development and what we want to achieve through our personal development. So I also came up with my aim for each of those 5 areas. And I'll go through those with you here in a moment. So first coming up with 5 values for each and then coming up with an aim. So you might think, well, how do you come up with the core values? So this is how I did it. The way that I did it is I believe I came up with the aim first. What did I want to accomplish? So I'll give you an example. We'll go with career. Okay. So for my career, I said, a fun and collaborative team working in alignment with one another to fulfill a big vision and serve a greater purpose as their highest and best selves. So I started there and I said, okay, that's the aim. Now let's list out all of the words that come to mind that I feel in alignment with that will help me achieve that aim. And Mandy and I wrote them all down on a piece of paper. And I found that there were words that would come up more than once. And so I knew that those were words that really stood out to me. And so once we wrote out the words, then we prioritized them. And then I picked the final 5 that truly defined my core values. So for my career, they are collaboration, honesty, trust, kindness, and fun. Now, some of you might be asking, well, why do you need values? It sounds kind of hooky to me. Well, here's the way that I compare it. A compass always points north. It always points north unless it's broken. That's kind of what your values are. Your values are what always point you towards your North Star. It's what always keeps you going in the direction that you need to be going. So for instance, in my career, I had found that I was not in alignment with my aim and with my values. And I had to do some course correction. And when I got in alignment and back in alignment with my aim and my values, my business started changing. Things started improving. Recently, one that I think is pretty important is health. And I had to go back and revisit my health because I realized that COVID was not making me skinnier. And I'm going to be on a boat here soon and in a bathing suit. And I don't want to feel like frumpy, right? Humpty Dumpty. And so I went back, and this was my aim: to love my body and treat it as a temple, only allowing what feels good to go in and always listening to what it wants and needs. And my values were community, self-love, clean, hydration, and fun. And I realized that I was not in alignment. I was not eating clean. I was certainly not having fun, and I wasn't drinking enough water. And when I got back into alignment with those 3 things, I feel better. It's only been about a week and a half, and I actually feel good. So the reason I've broken them down into 5 areas is because those are the 5 key areas of my life that I want to focus on. And if I have my values and my aims, I now can do an integrity check with my values to know if I'm in alignment. Because my values are the principles and standards that I live by. And if something is not in alignment with those values, then I probably don't need to do it. And something I read recently is that values in a business are not meant to be corporate. They're meant to be community. Your values are there to create your culture. Your values are to make sure that everybody has the same compass. And it's okay if you don't have the same compass as me, or your north isn't the same as mine. That just means that we probably don't need to be in a relationship together, or we need to get our values into alignment. You know, when I started thinking about this today, I immediately went to religion, and I thought about, you know, being a Southern Baptist, and the first time I went to a Catholic church. It's very different. A lot of the beliefs are the same, but the style of worship is very, very different. And unless I'm willing to change my style of worship, I'm not in alignment with the Catholic service. Now, I go to Catholic services all the time now because I enjoy the tradition. I enjoy the difference. Yet, imagine someone that's really, really strong in this faith trying to go into someone else's faith, right? The values aren't going to be in alignment, so they're not going to be happy. And that's how we have to look at it within our organizations. And that's how we have to look at it inside of our lives, is if we're in relationship with people that don't align with our values and our aims, there's really no reason to be in relationship with them, because you're going to end up spending more of their time and energy and your time and energy trying to work together when you're not in alignment. And I think we have to switch the mindset that it's not a good or bad thing. It doesn't make you right and me wrong, or me right and you wrong. It just is what it is. And we all have different aspects of ourselves and things that we believe in and things that we want to become. And we have a better chance of getting there if we're in alignment with where we want to go, what we want to achieve, and what we stand for, and what's important to us. So I want you to really think about your values being your compass. And your compass is always telling you which way to go because it always tells you where north is. So if you always know where north is, then you always know which way you're going and which way you're facing. Your values and your aims are the same thing. So I would challenge you and choose for you tonight to pick one area of your life, whether it's your relationships, your career, your health, your spiritual, or your growth. Pick one category and come up with your aim, and then identify your 5 values. And then also come up with your avatar. What do you look like at your highest and best self? Now, for me, I put them in a notebook on my iPad, and it's actually in my Kindle. You can upload PDFs to your Kindle. And so when I'm doing the right thing, because I'm still human, I read this every day. I also have some things in here that are things to remember around mindset that also came out. These I probably read more than I read my values, and I probably should be reading my values more. So that's me calling myself out. But I have things on here like be nice and kind to everyone. There's no such thing as rejection. It has nothing to do with me. Love and appreciate myself rather than looking externally for this. I am already loved and wanted. Like, so things that I need to remember because I need that self-talk, right? So these have become kind of my narrative for me to make sure that I'm telling myself. So I hope this was helpful. Again, plan out who you are at your highest and best, who you want to be. Once you put it on paper, you set your aim. Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? And then come up with your values so that you know which way you're going at all times, and you know if you're in alignment with the people that you're surrounding yourself with. So have an awesome week, and we will see you next week. If you have any questions around this or want help coming up with any of yours, just reach out. I'm here to help. Bye, guys.